Professor of Political Science at the University of California. He joins us from Berkeley. Professor, thank you so much for your time. While I was researching what I was going to speak to you about, I came across this on Google. What's the difference between a sociopath and a narcissist? And here was the answer. The main difference between sociopathy and narcissism is the degree to which someone disregards others. People with sociopathy have no regard for the rights of others or the law, whereas someone with narcissism doesn't have empathy for others but isn't always dangerous. Does any of that ring true for you about Donald Trump?
Well, by the lights of those definitions, Trump is both a sociopath and a narcissist. He definitely displays traits of both of those types of personality. So I would say that I'd say Trump is the full package in that respect.
So is his personality changing U.S. democracy? Because when we see him react to everything that's swirling around him, and people who follow the news, whether it's extremely carefully or even just casually, must be quite amazed that a former U.S. president is being charged in so many different cases. And then you see his reaction. It's as if it's not even happening.
Right, and that's precisely what threatens to change U.S. democracy is that he's normalized these high crimes. He seems to just shrug them off. He always says they're politically motivated, which in fact they're not. And that has the effect of dulling people's sense of, what's acceptable and what's not. And he's done it for so long and so brazenly that the risk is there. That said, if he is convicted for any of these crimes and sent to prison and or simply loses the next presidential election, it looks like he'll be the Republican nominee. If Biden beats him handily, then of course this will be a big blow in favor of democracy in the United States. And it will be clear that Trump's tactics aren't working.
Yeah, you put it better than I did, actually, because he makes it appear normal, where I said that he almost seems to disregard it. But of course, he's making political capital out of every conviction, and not conviction, every charge that is laid against him. What about the Republican Party? Because we know about Trump's base, but that's not really the issue. Possibly it's not the issue when it comes to what's happening on Capitol Hill. Is there a certain cowardliness about the senior members of the Republican Party who are not calling this out?
Oh, there certainly is a lot of cowardliness about the Republican leadership in Congress. They've been displaying their cowardice ever since late 2016 when Trump was elected, when they refused to call Trump out on his collaboration with Putin and then tried to shut down an investigation into those crimes, and all along have stuck with him. Even after the insurrection, they tried to aid him in overturning the election. There's a great deal of cowardice here. The truth is that, as John pointed out in his previous report, many Republican leaders would love to see Trump go. They know he's a drag on the party. They're horrified by his crimes. They know he's committed them. The problem is they don't have the courage to stand up publicly and do it. If one of them does, or if several of them do, I suspect that that member of Congress or that Republican leader is going to get a lot of positive attention, including among a lot of Republicans who are sick to death of Trump. Right now, Trump really threatens to take the party down with him. He is the worst possible and the weakest possible candidate to run against Biden next year. Many Republican leaders realize that. It's possible that Trump actually will end up not getting the nomination. If he's convicted of crimes, and if Republicans realize that his chances of election is very slim, it's possible to go to another candidate. Right now, that does not seem likely at all. He does seem to control the party completely, but it can't be ruled out.
So if it's Trump versus Biden next year, who wins? Because, I mean, if we're completely honest, not everybody is convinced about President Joe Biden at all.
Sure, that's true. And in fact, it might even be close. But Trump is the weakest candidate the Republicans could put up. We know that for a fact. If they nominated someone like Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, they would stand a much better chance. It's interesting that Biden is actually not polling very well, even though he's a terrific president in many ways. In terms of his economic policies at home, he has pushed through policies that rival Lyndon Johnson's Great Society programs of the 1960s. Very expansive, very effective economic policies. Important policy, he's united the whole democratic world against Putin. He is conducting a very effective foreign policy in his relations with China, with India, with other countries as well. The problem is the Democratic messaging machine is very amateurish. They do a terrible job of getting Biden's accomplishments out into the news cycle. And Biden himself doesn't do a very good job. Unfortunately, Biden is a terrific policymaker, but not a very good politician.
Professor Michael Stephen Fish, thank you so much indeed for the analysis. Very much
My
appreciated.
pleasure.